Shark bugs, the battle's never done.
What's up, YouTube? SwooCube here. This is my face. Today, I have a very exciting video that we're going to record. It's going to be an interview, podcast style interview, and I will be interviewing KevMo, the community manager from Shardbugs. I have a lot of questions for him. Excited to get into the nitty gritty on Shardbugs, and hope you guys enjoy the video. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on KevMo. KevMo, you here?
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, buddy. Welcome. Welcome to the show. Thank you for taking the time. Yeah, Shardbugs, for coming. For anyone who hasn't heard of Shardbugs, give me the elevator pitch. What's this game all about?
Sure. Well, you can see behind me, I came in with a really cool bug warfare background because that's kind of the theme of Shardbugs. So I felt that would be fun. Quick elevator pitch. Shardbugs is an indie TCG. We had our Kickstarter just barely over a year ago, last March. And we are a game that is probably a little bit familiar to some of the more experienced TCG players out there. But we offer a lot of very unique gameplay elements and mechanics that people really love about our game, including a really creative resource mechanic, utilizing the bugs, which you actually play your units or your, in some cases, card games call them your creatures and stuff like that. We have bugs. And basically, the game is all about bugs and bug warfare. And all of our bugs come from being inspired by real-life species of bugs that you find in the world around you, hand-drawn by a very talented team of artists in a kind of a comic book aesthetic vibe to it. So it's really, really cool. As you can see, bright, vivid colors and those pinks and greens and yellows and stuff. And you're fighting with these bugs that, long story short, we had these crystal shards that rain down from the cosmos, and these crystal shards, when exposed to these insects, gave these insects a sense of sentience, and some of them grew in size. Some of them had gained access to magic, or gave them a hyper intelligence, which allowed them to gain access to technologies. And so you really see this game focused around this microscopic, often microscopic. Some of them, like I said, grew big, but it focuses very much on this small world of shard bugs and the large scale bug wars that they have. That's pretty much the gist of it. You play as one of these cosmic avatars. We'll go a little bit more in depth in some of these cosmic avatars, I'm sure. But you basically choose your favorite alignment, your favorite faction. It has an avatar with it, and each of your bugs has to belong in one of these factions or these alignments. And you versus your opponent are battling for devotion for your cosmic avatar. And while most games that you see out there, like Magic and some of these other ones we're familiar with, those are very combat-focused games where you're trying to deplete your opponent's life. In our game, it's a little bit different. And in Shardbugs, you're using your bugs to not only do a little bit of combat, but you're also using your bugs to gain devotion, which in our game, devotion is basically the win condition. As you gain devotion, you're that much closer to winning. And the first player to gain 20 devotion wins, while also attacking your opponent and depleting their devotion back down to stop them from winning before you. So, yeah, cool bugs, cool art, warfare, cosmic deities, devotion. That's the whole spiel of Shardbugs. So
yeah, one
that
thing,
answered all the questions.
Definitely. One thing that, so I was aware of the game probably early Kickstarter, like in the lead up to Kickstarter, because I just, I play a lot of TCGs. I kind of follow news, and I saw it come across. I was like, oh, interesting. Game about bugs, moving on. And, it initially, for whatever reason, it bounced off me. So let me ask you this. Why bugs? Like, why? What's the, maybe not the full story, but like, what about bugs for you makes Shardbugs like cool, interesting? There's a lot there, but Love to hear your thoughts.
So Lewis, the creator, one of the things that he has discussed in some of his previous videos and some stuff that he's done is his inspiration for this game. So I can comment a little bit on that as far as why bugs for shard bugs, and then I'll kind of go into how I enjoy bugs personally. When Lewis said that he was first, basically his daughter, she's an artist, one of his daughters, and she presented him with an idea through one of her drawings, and it was a bug in like a trading card image. She drew a trading card with a bug on it, and she told him that she, when he asked what it was and to explain it, she was telling him that it was an idea of hers that she had for a card game that is based around these real world species of bugs. And Lewis loved the idea and realized that, while there's a lot of bugs that you find in other trading card games, like Magic has insects, Sorcery has, spiders and stuff like that. Pokemon has, as a lot of bugs.
Beedrill.
There's no single game out there that is 100% dedicated to just being about bugs. Usually bugs are like one of the class, one of the creature types, or But this game is fully about bugs. He loved the concept and realized that bugs are such an untapped IP that it would bring about a unique opportunity for us to build our game fully around bugs, because there's thousands, hundreds of thousands of species of bugs out there.
Yeah.
And as I said before, our game focuses around real world species. So if we're designing our cards around these species, I mean, we're never going to run out of bugs to inspire our cards.
It's a deep well.
So that was one of the original reasons why shard bugs became focused around bugs. And I'm sure he could go more in depth to a certain extent too, if you get him on here.
Yeah.
When you get him on here, he'll be on here.
It'll happen.
But as far as bugs for myself, ever since I was a kid, I've always enjoyed the outdoors.
Yep.
For a small period of my life, I grew up in sort of the Northern California region on a plot of land. And it was up in the foothills and the mountains. And my mother used to always take me to national parks, Yosemite National Park, and she'd always take us camping all the time. And so I grew up with this natural curiosity and this natural love for nature and the outdoors and the wilderness and bugs. And so I've always loved bugs. And so when Lewis first reached out to me about this game, bringing me into the world of shard bugs, one of his biggest selling points for me was he said, "Hey, it's about bugs and bug warfare." And as soon as I heard bugs, I'm like, "Oh, this is kind of cool," especially because he said real world bugs. And so, with that brings a natural curiosity and a natural interest in learning more about, how a game could play around with real bug species. And so just being involved with shard bugs so far has led me down this journey of learning more about these bugs around me by playing the game and being a part of the team. And now when I'm walking around around the outside of my house, or whenever I'm outdoors, or even finding creatures inside my house, I see them with this newfound sense of interest and curiosity, because something with shard bugs just kind of it triggers this natural curiosity in you. And so that's one of the biggest reasons why shard bugs attracted me in the first place, and why I have such a soft spot for bugs.
I think it's easy to ignore. Like, you go through your life and they're not at eye level most of the time. And if they are, it's usually a problem, right? Like spider coming down from the ceiling, or like a bee flying at your face.
Yeah. Which have happened to me.
Yeah.
That's I'm sure.
No, I've noticed the same thing since so I mentioned before, like the game bounced off me when I first saw it. And, TCGs are like a big, like, you let them into your mind and they take up space, right? So as you go through life, you're not just always open to new games. But for me, I think it was like Kodak's Learn to Play video. I just had his channel going in the background, and it came on, and I was like, oh wow, that art's really good. Yeah, and then I was kind of following with the gameplay. I was like, oh, that seems pretty fun. And yeah, and then the rest is history. So this is one of my favorite games now. I play it. Yeah, I've got a local play group here. We've been doing, like sealed tournaments, or not tournaments, like game nights. But very excited for the growth of the game and where it's headed. I think it's got a lot of really strong elements to it. But the bug thing, I'm resonating with what you're saying, because now I see like a spider and I'm like, like look a little closer, like it creates a little bit, I guess, when you look closely at what is actually going on in the bug world in real life. I mean, it's pretty wild. Like they're fantastical and strange, and they have these crazy like social orders, and yeah, it's looking at like real life bugs is very interesting. I think you guys capture a lot of the flavor of that really well in the game with your card design. And something else I like is, the game is set on Earth, and because of that, like there's these real world objects. There's like a fortress that's a football helmet, or like the boot, right? This removal spell that's like a woman. Kevin, did I lose you?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, you drop out.
Okay, sorry about that.
Hey, Ram, all good, man. It's probably gonna happen to me in 5 minutes. I don't know. That probably didn't affect the recording, but I was just saying I really enjoy like the vibe that the game has. So it's like kind of fantasy, kind of a mix of everything on Earth, with like little bug sorcerers and little bug paladins and little bug like shoot 'em up Western guys. And it's
sci-fi elements,
yeah, and it doesn't take itself too seriously, and there's a lot of humor, and it's just like you guys have found a pretty good tone for the game, at least so far. And yeah, I really enjoy it. Like we're sitting at the table playing and just kind of cracking up, reading the flavor text, and like the references you have to other games like Black Locust and Blue Eyes White Dragonfly.
Yeah,
hilarious.
We love when people see some of the other, because we have fun throwing in little cultural references here and there too, not just from the homage cards that we have in the sets too,
right.
But there's even like a nod to certain things from pop culture, like with Dynamic Duo.
Yeah,
the card from set 2 is a little nod to like Batman and those kind of superhero
totally
duos, and even to certain types of brands here and there that are quite familiar to us, that it's just kind of a little nod to little pop culture references. So I'm glad you've been enjoying those.
I like the Danny DeVito pill bug. So anyway, I started blasting.
Yeah,
cracks me up, man.
He's a cool one. I wanted to ask you what your favorite bugs might be. Not even shard bugs, but just in general. Do you have any favorite bugs?
Yeah, I grew up. I was a city kid. I was born like West Philadelphia. So for me, it was ants. But that's because you'd see like an ant farm pop up through the sidewalk, and yeah, I had so much fun like just watching them do their thing. Sometimes we'd like pry back like part of the sidewalk, and like you could like that was their ceiling, so you'd see all the tunnels and stuff underneath. And I mean, some of these ant farms like huge.
Nice.
Yeah, so I've always been kind of fascinated with how orderly they are, and how like it's kind of chaotic, but they have like they're doing a thing, like they're collecting food, they're bringing it back. It's
What's crazy is how advanced ants are. Like I mentioned earlier how much I'm learning about bugs from this game, and I still stumble on things regarding ants, like how ants. What was this thing before they when their hive gets sick, certain species of ants can utilize like bacteria around them to produce a sort of like natural what do you call it, like a vaccine sort of thing. So, and that's just like, it blows my mind that ants have that level of
self-defense.
Like
chemical self-defense.
Ants are really cool. So that's I'm still learning more about, and every ant species is different, which is really neat. So that's pretty cool that even in the city you found a little bit of a love for bugs somewhere. So
yeah, I did not have a love for like bees. I was stung a bunch as a kid, and I probably still haven't recovered from that. Although in the game, The design of like the way that you guys make bees kind of go in and out of the hive and get bonuses for doing it. That's like that was on my mind when I was mentioning like the flavor of bugs and how they operate like as creatures in real life, and kind of bringing that into the gameplay. Yeah, it's on my list to try and make a good bee deck. I don't know if it's possible.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get there someday.
I'm a big fan of bees, especially with the current ones that we have, and you might see a little bit more love coming out in the next set.
All right.
Can't say too much, but I can definitely say that there's a little bit of love there.
All right, that counts as that's a bean.
I'm excited for that, but just to touch on the because I kind of mentioned it earlier in the description, but just to kind of throw a little bit more detail there, the hive system is a really unique component of our game, because in a lot of games you have some sort of resource system. In Magic you have lands. In some other games like Lorcana, you like pitch cards, and that gives you a certain amount of mana each turn. Whereas in shard bugs, the resources are the bugs themselves, and so they act as your unit that you have on the field to do your interactions with, to gain devotion, to attack, to defend, do stuff like that. But at the same time, if you move them from your hive back into from your field back into the hive, or you put them directly from your hand into the hive, they become a resource now, and those bugs can exhaust. You turn them sideways, you tap, or whatever you want to call it. You exhaust them for the resources. So each alignment, each bug produces dust, which is our resource that we use to play these cards. They produce dust of whatever the alignment that they are. So if it's a solar aligned bug, you can exhaust it to create a solar dust, and so on and so forth. And so it presents a really cool interaction with these bugs, and how you play them back and forth between being present on the field to do stuff with, to have their abilities active, to defend, to attack, to gain devotion, or to move them into the hive and utilize as a resource, and maybe strategically move them back and forth if needed to trigger certain things, or to keep certain bugs safe, or certain bugs have a special benefit of being in the hive versus on the field. So there's a lot of strategy in how you control your resources, when you bring them out or pull them back in. Yep. And it's a really fun, unique part about our game that I feel is one of the biggest highlights that drives people to play, to want to play shard bugs. So
I would agree with that. Yeah, big time. Yeah. I mean, there's some pretty crazy galaxy brain plays you can do with how you play your bugs and I come from Magic. So I am used to like play land stays land for the most part, right? Sometimes not, but and there have been so many times where playing games of shard bugs where I it's not until like a turn later that I realize, I missed it. It was right there. I could have just moved this bug up and done that. I had lethal on the field, and I just, I'm still in the learning curve. I love playing card games, but I'm not that good at them.
Same here, man. I even though I'm part of the team, I often don't seem to have a whole lot of time myself to play. Right. I get some games in here and there, but I'm definitely not up there with some of these more competitive tournament winning players when it comes to strategizing and being able to do. I play a little bit more casually. I'll bust out my fun bees deck or my ant token deck or something. But it's cool to see a lot of the meta game shaping itself, and a lot of these big splashy plays that people have found are really creative ways of interacting with different cards and combos that maybe we didn't even think of, or try out in play testing. So that's been really cool to see people, getting up there with some really cool, crazy stuff that they're doing. So,
yeah. Could you talk a little bit about your role? Like, what specifically are you responsible for in the world of shard bugs? What are your responsibilities, etc.? I'd love to hear about that.
Sure. I am the community manager. So basically, one of the biggest parts of my role is to be a front-facing dev for the community, and interact with the community, be the face of the company for the community. You'll oftentimes, when I'm able to, see me at some of these conventions and events that we're at, and I'm usually up front. I'm presenting. I'm talking to the community. I'm making the announcements. I'm helping to run the event. So I'm trying to be the front face of the community. I also do a lot of interaction on the Discord community and a lot of the architecture of the Discord server. I try to set up a lot of the resources and a lot of the channels that the community has for anything that they really need or anything that they want to see in there. I tried to interact a lot with the community and bring a lot of engagement and find new ways to do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which I have some surprises of some stuff I'm going to introduce in the community here soon. So we're going to see some more fun, cool stuff to keep the community engaged. I also help with a lot of the team. Even though we have our general roles, we oftentimes overlap a little bit when needed, just because we're all still part of a team. And so I do have a little bit of time, some opportunities where I'm helping with kind of the design aspect of things. In meetings, sometimes we're discussing the artwork and we pitch in some ideas, and especially in the early sets, I had a little bit more of a role with helping to design or at least offer ideas to some of the card designs. For example, like something like Bumble Speaker.
Mm-hmm.
Early on, when we were doing playtesting, Bumble Speaker was going through a couple different alterations, and Bumble Speaker is not Bumble Speaker. It's the what is the Humbringer? There you go.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, Humbringer. Wrong soul card. Humbringer
Yeah.
is based on a hummingbird moth, and so it's the fastest moth out there. And as such, we were toying around with some ideas of giving it aggro. So it kind of went up and down between costs and devotion, and whether it has aggro, whether it doesn't have aggro. And one of my ideas that I pitched to the team, because at one point we were going to take away aggro because it was proven to be a little bit too powerful for what it was in playtesting. Yeah. But one of the ideas that I pitched out to the team was, hey, it is the fastest moth out there. We kind of have to do something to show that it has this speed somehow. So I said, what if we, by default, it didn't have aggro, but you paid one more dust to grant it aggro for that turn.
Yep.
That way it doesn't feel too powerful, by default. But if you have a little bit extra dust, you can pay into it to give it that aggro, because it is the hummingbird moth.
Yeah.
So that was just kind of an example of like how some of us help here and there. So
it's a good thing you had that idea, because that card is still like really good.
Yeah, that's I love telling people about that one, because
yeah.
that's one I'm really proud of throwing that idea out there.
Yeah.
I also helped a little bit with the early playtesting, but now we have a very talented team of playtesters. So I've since then stepped back a little bit, but I was a little bit more involved with the playtesting side of things, which was really, really fun. I also will help out once in a while with like the TTS mod and stuff like that. And let's see, what other hats do I wear sometimes? And I also reach out to a lot of content creators, such as yourself.
Yep.
And other influencers and people out there for collaborations, kind of a content creator outreach thing,
mm-hmm.
and finding more programs and avenues to get us engaged with the outside community, events and stuff like that. So there's a couple events that are coming up in the future that we can't quite speak on just yet, but I did land us a really cool opportunity that hopefully will be coming up here soon, as long as everything fits into place. I'm hoping to have something on the California side of things, on the West Coast, that you might see Shardbugs involved in here later this year. So again, it just depends on some back end details, but that's kind of more or less what I do. There's a lot of other small things that I'm sure I do, but more or less just being that open face, for the community, and making sure I'm answering rules. I've had a lot of
yep.
A big part of developing the rules and the rule books. And so I love answering questions for people and being judges at these events that I'm able to attend.
Man, you've saved me in real time. Like, in a game. I'm like, how does this card work? Text it, you like on the Discord, and you get right back.
Yeah.
To
Well, I'm glad I could
no,
help.
you're on the ball, man. Yeah, and
Yeah.
dude, you do a great job, man.
Oh,
Like,
thank you.
you're a great, like, the Discord's a very welcoming, kind place, and that's
I
probably
appreciate it.
more than half of that is just solely due to your efforts. So
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate, and I'm always open for more feedback from the community on what things you might want to see there in the server, or, whatever we can do for you guys. Because at the end of the day, we want our community and our community server to be, engaging for you guys, and provide you guys with whatever resources you feel like you might want or might need. But that being so involved with the rules and being a big part of developing the rules has been a fun part of Shardbugs, because I really feel like I'm intertwined with like the grand foundation that is Shardbugs, being such a big part of it. And so I try to lend my knowledge and teach new players. And I also host Learn to Play events online, and I run the Shardbugs Online League. So quick plug for that.
Tabletop, right?
Yeah, we do a weekly league. Usually on the weekends. It rotates days depending on the month, just for maximizing availability of players. So Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, one of those days each month, it'll rotate. If you're in a Discord community, I'll usually post them, there to allow you to keep track. But every weekend I host the online league, and it's just an opportunity for people who are used to having like a Friday night's Magic sort of thing, or a weekly weekend thing where players come together and play. And so one part of this online league was I created this league as a way for people who might not be near some of the upcoming LGSs, who don't have a local scene, to be able to still engage with the game and get practice in. So that way, they're able to engage with the community. They're able to play the game online. They're able to gather together and kind of have that sense of community and camaraderie. And also it allows you to practice and get good, so that when your LGS does start carrying Shardbugs and doing weekly events, you're already up there with pros.
So you don't get splat.
Yeah, so that's been a really cool thing that I've been doing. I've been coming up with more creative ways of having fun with some of the things that we do there. So as of recently, I introduced like sort of like challenges, where you can have certain deck building restrictions, and if you build your deck using those restrictions for that week, give a few options. Like, for example, I had one week where one of the options for a challenge was, if you wanted to build your whole deck using only commons and uncommons, you're building with that challenge in mind. And if you just by participating, players will get promo packs, so they earn some promos for participating, and then those who place in the top 4 each week will earn themselves extra promos. And then if you participate in the challenges, you can actually earn booster packs. And if you win with the challenges, you can earn extra booster packs. You can win enamel pins. And at the end of each season, the seasons will follow usually the set release. So we're currently on season 2, and as of when set 3 releases, we'll begin starting season 3. But if you win in the weekly leagues, if you place in the top 4, or if you're part of the top 3 for the amount of wins per month, you actually qualify for an end of the season tournament. So I've been trying to do that as well, a big like season championship thing. So that's another thing that I try to bring to a community, is a way for players to connect up and meet up online and have that environment there to interact with each other. And we've even done some 1K tournaments online, basically with some of the players who play in the online league too. So I hope to bring more stuff to players that they can interact with online. But I think that's now covering all the things that I do. If I missed anything, who knows? But for the most part, I do a lot of just community facing stuff. And at the end of the day, I'm here to just be here for the community, engage with the community, and bring people into the community and have fun.
Good, man. Well, we're grateful for you, and you're doing an awesome job.
Thank you.
You touched on a lot of things that kind of spurred
further.
Yeah. So one, you just mentioned that players playing online get, just for participating, get promo packs. You're sending them out in the mail to people. I've noticed, like, as a player of the game, and I play casually, there's not yet a scene in my city. There's a small group of us, and I think it's coming pretty quickly. Actually, we got an LGS just a couple weeks ago.
Nice.
So There is a scene in my city now, but
which LGS too?
Feisty Goblin.
Oh yeah, Feisty Goblin. I was excited about that one. Yeah,
it's a big store. That's a cool
Yeah.
place. Yeah, shout out to Feisty Goblin.
Yeah.
They I've been a few times. I'm at like the far other end of the region, so for me it's like an hour plus to get there. So I probably won't make it too much.
Mhm.
But I certainly I know that there's going to be a tournament coming up here up in that area pretty soon. So you'll be seeing me in person for sure, not before too long.
Nice.
But as a player of the game, I feel very like respected, I guess is the word. Like the way you guys design your booster packs, the drop rates of like actual good cards, the way you design your sets. It's not overwhelming. I feel like I can buy a couple boxes and like actually build a good deck, which feels like in a lot of games these days is getting harder and harder.
Yeah.
And so is that like an intentional, like, did you guys set out like we're going to make a game like for the players, or like what's your thoughts on that? Because it seems like you're just like anytime someone just wants to play your game, you're like, let me reward you way more than you expect to be rewarded. And it's like, oh, this is great. I love this.
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, we are community first all the way. When Lewis sought to design this game and create this game, Lewis himself is a very big community guy. When he's involved with other trading card games, he's been part of the indie TCG sphere for a while, and he's a very generous individual, as many people in the community know.
Yeah,
and he has always been a community first kind of guy, and he's also a business guy too. So as a businessman, he acknowledges the fact that if you treat your customers well and your community well, you're going to have happier customers who are going to want to support you and show you that love back. And so, creating Shardbugs, he definitely had that in mind. Was he wanted to make sure that community came first, and so you'll see that reflected in a lot of the things that we do. I mean, we've had an open channel in the community server. We take a lot of feedback into consideration. We have an ideas and suggestions channel specifically for that. There's often times where people have requested certain things in the server, and we've made it happen for them if it's within reason. And we've even had certain aspects and elements of the game kind of focused around certain feedbacks and suggestions that we've had, whether it's from the community or playtesters. But even to the extent of how, like you were saying, the booster boxes and stuff, one of the things that Lewis had in mind when trying to figure out, the allocation of the cards and how we're going to design the booster boxes was he wanted two things. One, he wanted the box to be basically draftable. He wanted the game to be draftable out of the box. So that's why you'll see the token packs and the booster, the box topper pack in there as a prize. So he wanted the game to be immediately available for players to just buy a single booster box, take the packs out, and have a fun time drafting with players. But also, like you touched on, he wanted players to be able to feel like they had a chance of collecting, a good chance of or a good chunk of the set by being able to invest in, a couple boxes, a few boxes without having to dump, a whole paycheck into a whole case or two cases just to get to, a full set, or at least enough, if not a full set out of a few boxes, at least enough to build, some fun decks and some decent decks.
Yep.
So, and then that's also why he came out with the pre-con decks and some of the early
which are really good, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, as far as like intro products go, those blew me away. Like well-designed decks, they bring you into so there are three factions for the first two sets of the game. First three sets of the game, I guess, right?
Yeah.
And that was like the perfect on-ramp to learning the game, understanding the kind of some of the intricacies of strategy without going too deep that you get lost. It's really, really well executed.
That's a big shout out to Nate, aka Mythos. He's the the game designer and the lead developer, and he had a big role in putting together those pre-con decks. And you'll find that the set one pre-con decks are a little bit more of an introductory product for new players. They're a little bit simplified. They kind of introduce you to a little bit more of just basic mechanics and basic cards, and give you a little bit of a diverse selection of cards.
Yeah.
But they're not like super hyper, synergistic and stuff. They're just kind of a nice introductory for teaching new players, hosting learn to plays, and trying a more casual approach. Whereas the pre-con decks from set two, we decided to he wanted to make those a little bit more of a synergistic. They feel a little bit more synergistic with the cards that you'll find in them, and so those ones have a little bit of an increased power level to them, while still maintaining that introductory feel for players. But it for those who happen to have played pre-cons from set one versus set two, you might see a little bit of a difference in power there. And so we've found that players kind of really liked that, because they could start off with the pre-cons from set one, have that introductory, especially with people who've never learned TCGs before. They're teaching their family members and stuff. And if they really like it, they're like, okay, let's move to these pre-cons from set two now. And now you get the Roach deck, and you get, these ones that are a little bit more centralized.
A couple more layers to them.
Yeah. So the team did a really good job. Shout out to Nate and to Lewis and to the play testers for those. Those were a very good, a good introductory product for the players. And you'll see some other fun pre-con decks coming out here soon, I'm sure.
Can't wait, man. So that kind of leads us naturally to what's next, right? Shard bugs. Well, actually, before we get there, briefly, two sets under your belt now, the beginning and first bounty. Like, how, in terms of your internal expectations, how have those sets done? Like, successes, obviously not failures, right? We're here talking about it, but like, where do you guys, how are you guys feeling going into set three about how the first year of the game is going?
Yeah, no, good question. Well, the Kickstarter was pretty successful. We built a lot of hype around set one. As many of you know, we had set one manufactured and produced ahead of the Kickstarter launch.
Yeah.
So by the time the Kickstarter was over, we already had product ready to go and ship to people. And so set one had a very warm reception, I feel like, from the community, not just because of the cards themselves, but how it was presented, ready to go. You get what you've been seeing, on TTS, and I feel like set one was a very nice base set, like a core set to start off with. It had a very nice diversity of different species, different representations of what each alignment is really trying to focus on. Luna is a lot more of these sneaky from the shadows strategy bugs that do stuff playing around with your deck or your splat zone, splat abilities. Soul has a big emphasis on devotion and sometimes like ramping and aggro stuff. Mars is just Meteor doing what Meteor does, and a lot of aggro and direct damage and stuff like that. Yeah, splat and bugs.
Yeah,
I feel like the first core set was a great representation of sort of setting that that early precedence of what the game's all about, giving you a little bit of an exposure to different types of cards, and kind of setting a foundation for building more from there. It gave you a little bit of stuff that you can play your first decks with. You had enough there to have a lot of fun, while also leaving a little bit open to like, okay, well, that's really cool that they did that with this card. What are they going to do next? So I think it came out as a really great set. There's varying power levels. There's some cards that are used more than others. There's some cards that I feel like are sleepers that might get better as you see more sets come out. And then there's cards that are just like really, really good. Like Dave Swiftfoot from set one is a pretty nasty guy. So, I feel like there were some really great stuff, really great cards that came out in set one, and it set a great foundation for things to come. As far as like power level, it was pretty smooth. Obviously the rules saw an update with set two because we introduced more like quick speed ways of interacting, which I really liked about set one. It was very limited in like quick speed interaction, instant interaction, because we wanted it to feel more introductory. We wanted it to feel more, like early Magic was very basic. You had a lot of high cost creatures. It was very back and forth. There wasn't a lot of, there were no like counter spells and like burn spells and stuff like that. It was just very basic approach. And so I feel like we did a really good job with that set, allowing this kind of this back and forth and kind of maintaining a power level. Whereas fast forward to set two was a little bit of a push for a higher power level. We introduced more quick speed abilities, more quick speed actions, and you kind of saw the game kind of go from like first gear to a higher gear. You saw a little
third or fourth.
Yeah. So, which I thought was great because it wasn't a huge power boost. Obviously we're very much keeping an eye on everything from power creep is a big concern in games, and so we always want to do bigger and better things while keeping an eye on something like power creep. But I think set two had just enough of a power increase that it added some elements that players really wanted to see, and that allowed for more back and forth interaction. We introduced the concept of a more technical breakdown of the web, which is our stack system. So I think that kind of, like you said, it amped it up, especially for the competitive scene, where it started with something basic, and now all of a sudden you see players do really technical, big brain power plays where it's just like they need to know the exact timing of things. And so I think that was a very healthy set to introduce a little bit more of like what our game aims to do in the long run on the competitive level, and still the casual level, but very much showing people like, wow, this game has the it has the capability of being a hyper competitive game, like big power plays and big tournament level stuff. So I think set two was a really nice bump up, and there's a lot of really cool stuff that came out in set two that I'm really proud of. And as far as set three,
which drops in
at the end of March. So set three, we've revealed some spoilers in the Discord channel and through some of our social media. Yeah, and so set three is somewhere in the timeline before set one, and it kind of shows where a little bit of this, because set one, if you follow the lore, which we also have a comic book that releases with each set, that follows along the lore.
I'm looking for my copy here. I've got it around here somewhere. Anyway,
But so timeline wise, like it's kind of covering the early bug wars that started a little bit before the first set, storyline wise, and with that, set three is going to focus a lot more on like the battlefield, this engaging like battle that's actually happening. So you're going to see sort of this more of a darker, grimier feel a little bit. You're going to see bugs get splat. You're going to see really cool weapons and items. You're going to see big beefy fighters, and not just focus on the battlefield, but what's going on back at the settlements or back at the main headquarters of these alignments. What are they doing back outside of the battlefield too? So but it's very much gonna have a really cool feel to it. If you've seen some of the spoilers, you kind of see kind of that grimier, splattery feel that we're going for. Gameplay wise, like I said, we're gonna be introducing some cool stuff that gives you a little bit of a different feel when it comes to power. I feel like set three, without revealing too much, it's going to introduce a little bit more support for kind of filling out these deck archetypes that you see people building with set 1 and 2. You've seen kind of the blueprints of some of these really cool archetypes that work really well, but maybe they're like almost there. And I feel like set 3 is going to be a really good feel for filling in those, whether it's a full, like a tribal deck of all, the same species of bug,
Right.
looking for some more support for those kind of decks to fill that in. Or if you're looking for decks that center around a specific strategy, a specific archetype, you'll get a little bit more support for there. So I feel like set 3 is going to bring a little bit more of a complete feel for what players are looking for out of the first few sets.
Sweet.
To be able to really feel like they can what's the best way to it I don't want to say it's complete, because like we have obviously future sets that we're going to have, but I feel like set 1 was like a very basic approach. You feel like there's some good stuff there, but there's still a lot that can come out. Set 2 was like, great, we have that like appetizer a little bit,
Sure.
And we see the entree there, and I feel like set 3 is going to be that first round of entrees where you really see the main vision of what we're trying to do, and you really see where it can go from there. So I'm excited for the community to see it. I'm excited to drop more spoilers here soon, and I'm excited for set release for people to get their hands on these cards, because there's a lot of really cool stuff that's coming out. So
I'm counting down, man.
The comic book is going to be amazing. I mean, Zip Draw, one of our lead artists, he had a big role in this, and man, it's gonna be really cool. I think that's gonna be my favorite comic book issue yet so far. So
all right,
yeah,
cool. All right, well, you've amped me up, man. I'm excited. Are you able to speak a little bit beyond set 3? I know Lewis kind of came out and laid the roadmap out, but if you had, like, just for a couple minutes, recap kind of after, because there's going to be some pretty big changes to the game coming in the second half of the year, and there's a cool mini set that I'm very excited about. So yeah, I'd love to hear, obviously, what you're allowed to talk about.
Yeah,
what's coming in the pipe.
Yeah, most of this has been already covered with, by Lewis in other interviews or other videos or stuff that he's put out there or posts that we've had on the Discord. But not everybody knows how to find that information, so I definitely love to make sure it's all here for everybody. But yeah, after so this set 3 is called Infestation, and as I said, it's going to touch on a very cool theme. Set 4 we revealed was called Terraform, and we've even spoiled a little bit of the avatar for that one. And so our game currently has 3 factions, 3 alignments. It's the Solar, the Meteor, and the Lunar. And then you also have an unaligned faction of Mercenaries, which they don't follow anyone in particular. They're kind of hired out how you need to. But we do have plans for introducing 3 more alignments, 3 more colors, 3 more shards, which we've revealed. So Terraform is going to be the green alignment, and it's got a cool green avatar there, and it's going to focus, as you could probably see from some of the artwork that we've revealed, it's going to focus more on like an earthly, natural plant kind of vibe to it. Think like, I guess like deep forest vibes. Some really cool stuff there. As far as what you'll find in there, I can't really speak yet on that, but
cool.
It's gonna be really cool. I think it's gonna give players something to reevaluate some of the cards that are currently in the set and look back and be like, oh wow, those are really cool to play now, or that opens things up for bringing back some cards from the previous sets that are all of a sudden now, I don't want to say more worth playing, but they fit better into certain decks and archetypes. And then, like you said, we have another set after that, which is one of the ones that I'm most excited about personally, and that is the Night of the Living Swarm.
Mm-hmm.
And as you said, you yourself are a big horror fan, and I also share. We were talking a little bit before we hit record that we share that a love for like horror movies and like spooky and the occult and stuff like that. And so that's gonna, as the name suggests, Night of the Living Swarm. It's going to touch on sort of this darker element. And one of the biggest requests that we've had the community reach out for as far as like ideas and suggestions has been around this concept of like cordyceps and fungi.
Brain control mushrooms.
Yeah. So that was something that we had in plan. We had planned on since the early days of the game. That was a big part that we were looking forward to. So it was kind of funny seeing a lot of people throw that up as a suggestion, because it's like, we're planning on it. Just wait, be patient. We got big plans. And so I'm really looking forward to that, because I'm a big fan of like, nature, and I have a huge interest in like mushrooms and fungi and how they work, because they're very interesting, as far as like plants go. And so that aspect with, how is this going to work with, the cordyceps taking over bugs and that sort of thing being our equivalent to like zombies and stuff.
Yeah.
And then, it's going to touch a little bit on some fun horror, like I said, pop culture references. You might see some familiar little mentions to some of our favorite horror elements.
Sure.
So we're going to have a lot of fun with this set. Like I said, a little bit of a darker, grimier feel to it, as you've seen some of the artwork suggest. So that one's going to be really fun. And then beyond that, we had revealed that the another set after that is going to be Ancient Sands.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really excited about that one as well, because I have always loved ancient Egypt growing up as a kid. It's one of my favorite cultures and ancient civilizations to study growing up. And so that's going to focus a lot on these desert regions and some of the bugs that you'll see out there in the desert regions and some of these dry climates. And one thing to note is even though these sets coming out that have kind of their own region theme to it, like Ancient Sands is based a lot in the desert, you're going to see some bugs that are native to those regions. Obviously, of course, that's going to be a big part of it. But you might also see some other bugs coming in that aren't naturally from those regions, that happen to, be there because that's where the battle's going, or they're out there supporting their troops, or they're following their own, side quests, and it just happens to bring them there. So, it might not be all desert bugs. You might see some familiar faces or some returning characters and stuff, but there's going to be a large emphasis on that. And I'm really excited because we revealed the avatar for that one, Seth, which he's this kind of like half sandy, sort of,
and specifically that's for like a new faction, right? Like the orange faction,
the Harena faction, which is going to be that orange one. That's going to bring some really cool feel to it too. There's going to be some really cool stuff that you'll see introduced in that set that will feel very thematic with that set. So there's a lot of fun stuff we're really looking forward to. And then beyond that, we have mentioned that another set is going to be the I think it's called Frostbite, the Frozen set. Wintry ice, and the avatar for that one is Scotty, and that's the blue faction. So of course that's going to focus around the colder climates, the colder environments. You might see bugs, that are a little bit more on the fuzzy side, keeping them warm. You might see bugs in some warm gear, some jackets, some cool stuff there. And that again is going to bring some cool new things to the game. Bringing in a new faction. Each of these factions are going to have something that it kind of taps into, that is going to bring its own unique feel for wanting to play that faction. And so I'm really excited to see how players enjoy some of these mechanics and some of these ideas that we're going to bring with these new sets, because again, they are going to feel pretty thematic for the set, and it's just going to be cool seeing people all of a sudden opened up to more than three factions to choose from. And he even I know Lewis at one point mentioned that we might be looking into possibly introducing in the future out there the possibility of having certain avatars that might be like multi aligned or multi faction. Tapping
Right.
in more than one alignment or more than one
Interesting.
color. So
Yeah.
when that'll happen, I don't know for sure. I can't reveal any of that stuff, but there's some pretty cool stuff we're working on, and I'm excited to see, what the players feel going down, into these new avatars and new factions and stuff. So I think we're going to stop it at the sixth. I think Lewis had said he wants to, after the sixth faction is probably where we're going to cut it off, and that's going to be our I don't want to say like color wheel, but that'll essentially be our like faction wheel of at least for the meantime. It'll kind of fill it out and offer multiple options for players to build around. So yeah, out of those ones, which ones are you most excited about?
I'm looking forward to Terraform.
Yeah.
For the vibes and the color, and yeah, I mean all of it really, because I think the three factions that are in the game have a pretty interesting balance in terms of gameplay and like what is advantaged against what. And so adding new elements to that, I think it's just going to be, from a gameplay perspective, really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I've seen the art from the spoilers. It looks really cool. Very like flavorful, totally unique vibes from the other sets. So it's a cool, like, there's a lot to look forward to this year in Shardbugs, like a whole lot.
Well, I'm hoping that next time I come on here in the future, maybe we can do another future episode. But I might have a certain special spoiler for you here in the future. So
all right,
we'll see. We'll see what I can do.
Count me in, man. Count me in. Yeah, I'll be there. So I did have a couple questions left. So let's do a speed round, and I'm going to fire off a question, and I want you to answer in like as few words as you possibly can.
Okay, it's gonna be like a Rorschach ink block test. Right?
What is in your opinion, what is the most powerful card in the game?
Ooh, I think one of them up there is Dave Swiftfoot.
Okay.
He's a beast.
In your opinion, what is the most slept on card in the game?
Ooh, I think something like Greaseweevil, I think, is going to be a card that that people find might be a little slept on. He's a fun one. Nope. Did I lose you?
KevMo, can you hear me? All right, I'm going to add you back in. All right, I'm hotspotting. Yes, technical difficulties. We were doing a speed round.
Yes.
So I think I asked you what was the most slept on card in the game.
Yes. Well, the first one was the most powerful card.
Dave Swiftfoot.
So, that was going to be Dave Swiftfoot. Yeah. So the most slept on. I think one of the ones I'd have to go with is Greaseweevil. I think that one doesn't see a whole lot of play right now, but I think come the next set or two, I think it's going to give people something to look back at and be like, oh, this might be pretty cool.
All right, so pick up your singles of Greaseweevil now while you can. All right. On a scale of Mr. Burns from The Simpsons to Michael Scott from The Office, rank Lewis as a boss. I'm just kidding. You don't have to do that. I'm teasing. What is your favorite faction?
I'm a Luna at heart. I love everything about the dark vibe and the shadows and the sneakiness and the glow bugs and the moon and everything that kind of encompasses Luna as a faction. So I think always in my heart I'll be a Luna, but I really love a lot of the Soul cards and I really love playing Soul. So even though in my heart I'm a Luna player and I love Luna, Soul is definitely my jam from time to time.
Okay, cool. What What do you think is the most unintentionally overpowered card that has been produced so far in set 1 and set 2?
I think I'm gonna have to go back to Dave Swiftfoot. I think not that I feel like he's too overpowered, but I think he definitely was one of the most powerful cards in the first set.
Yeah.
And we've definitely been having to make sure that when we design certain items or certain things that can equip to him, that it's not going to make him too powerful. We wanted him to be a powerful card because he's a big part of the game. He's an essential character, but he's definitely he's got a little bit of kick. So I'd say if anything, it would probably be him again.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. That's not what I would have picked, but I don't know what you know, so that's cool. Cool. What do you think? Which avatar that currently exists of the 6, right? Because there's one for each set, for each faction, has the most potential to grow in power in set 3?
Well, I guess we're really focusing on the first 3 avatars here, because we don't really know what to expect for the future ones as far as like set 3 might be good for future, but I think personally, and this is just for my own how I play in the decks that I like to play. I think I would say that Soul gets some really nice love in this set as far as what I've been most attracted to playing. So I would have to say that Soul probably gets a little bit of love in this one. I mean, they all have a lot of really cool stuff that's coming out for this. We've seen previews of all the alignments. So it's not to say that Soul is getting more love, but I think I like a little bit of the love that Soul is getting personally from my own decks, my own playstyle.
Sweet.
If that kind of answers a little bit.
Yep. What is your least favorite card to play against?
My least favorite card to play against? I mean, set 1 Mars is pretty nasty. If I had to choose an avatar, that's my least favorite one to go up against, just because it completely changes. Like when you play up against that card, you have to completely switch things up. But as far as like non-avatar related, I would say, I'd say probably one of the big Oh, you know what? It's got to be the one of my favorite cards to play is also one of the ones that I hate playing against, because it's nice when you're playing it, but you hate it when it's on the opponent's field. It's got to be the Bobbit Leviathan.
Bobbit's good.
He's a little bit of a cheaper card, but he's also very strong, very powerful, and coming in as a surprise can just be devastating. So when you see one of those on your side of the board, you're excited, but when one is played by the opponent, you're like, gosh darn it. All right, cool. Where's my removal?
I played a couple games where I'm watching the Bobbit in my opponent's resource row thinking, oh man, it's coming, right? Yeah.
It's a great surprise having in hand to drop because it has aggro and you can do it right away. But man, when you play it into your hive and it's just sitting there showing the opponent like, hey, I could bring him in anytime, man. It's definitely an intimidation tactic at that point.
Right. All right, cool. Well, KevMo, thank you very much for giving me your time this evening. I had a ton of fun talking to you. I hope we can do it again soon.
I'm sorry we had a few technical difficulties with network and all that, but hey, it's to be expected. Of course, it happens when it happens.
We'll wipe it out in post-production, right?
There you go. Nothing happened. All went according to plan.
Well, have a wonderful week. I'm sure I'll be interacting with you on Discord, and I very much look forward to doing this again.
Okay. Well, thanks again for having me. Like I said, hopefully next time I come on, I have something special for you, and I'm excited to be, in anything in the future that you might want me on. I'd love to get some games in, stuff like that. But either way, once again, I appreciate you having me on, and it's always been a pleasure chatting with you. And I look forward to our next chat, our next video.
All right, man. Talk soon.
Cheers.